Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Organic Matters. It is our final edition in the series of Organic Matters, so I'm delighted to be joined by the CEO of the Burren Smokehouse, Birgitta Hedin-Curtin. Birgitta, thank you very much. And you are there. You're in situ where all the magic happens at the minute in County Clare, aren't you?
I am. I'm actually in the middle of Santa's workshop. We're wrapping, we're organizing, and we're taking orders as we speak, because Christmas is our very busiest time of the year, where we ship salmon literally all over the world.
That's incredible. But organic salmon, I mean, people might not have naturally thought of it. How did it all happen?
Well, we have wild salmon, we have conventionally farmed salmon, and there is, but it doesn't exist in Ireland. The conventionally farmed salmon does not exist in Ireland anymore. All the salmon that is farmed and farm raised in the Atlantic Ocean on the west coast of Ireland, it's all organically certified. So as soon as that was available, which is back in the 90s, late 90s, and we started to work with Irish organic salmon for the 33 years that we are in business. We've used all 100% Irish salmon. For us, we buy locally, we use our euro for the local economy. We buy it, and it supports the west coast of Ireland, the rural communities, and that's what we are about. And also, we're, for sustainability, both for the rural community, but also the product itself, that the fact that it's organic, it's a bit of a superfood. It's just beyond, when it comes to conventionally farmed and organically farmed salmon, it's completely different kettle of fish, much higher in omega-3 and 6 oils, and it's it's just about 10 times as high in omega-3 and 6 oils.
The omega-3 is a really interesting element of it, and people talk now about the nutrient density of food being incredibly important. Is that part of it, the nutrient density and the flavor of the salmon, the color of the salmon, all of these things?
I mean, salmon is a superfood. You're talking about for the heart, for brain development, for hair, for skin, for the whole body. And I once had this, we do experiences here, and people have come, groups have come, and to learn to taste the salmon, to get a taste experience, and also to learn more about how we smoke, why we smoke, where the salmon comes from. So I had this group of cardiologists from France, and one of them stood up in the audience. I think there was about 50 people sitting there. One of them stood up and they said, "Do you know what? Will you please, please, please tell everybody that to eat more fish, because that would make our job so much easier." So I mean, I have a friend of mine recently, in my age, I just turned 60, and my age group, which is younger than me, but she's going through serious, have had like hell for a couple of years with menopause. She's now doing a diet. What's on the diet? Salmon and smoked salmon, and then if you have the organic on top of it, the fact that you source it organically farmed, farm raised in the Atlantic, it makes such a difference. Like the organic standards for organic salmon is 1% fish, or the criteria for the organic standards of salmon is 1% fish, 99% water. So you're talking about really low stocking densities. That is part of why it can be called organic. Another aspect of it is that the feed is fish from sustainable source and marine sourced oil, which means that the feed is extremely high in omega-3 and 6 oil. It's wild fish, not the ones that not fillets of fish. When you fillet the fish, what's left over, the head and tail, all that huge amount of omega-3 and oils, 6 oils, but not really digestible for our palate. But that is what's going into the fish. So it's kind of close to wild salmon, but they do get the same feed all the time. The wild salmon goes and picks and get different feed. So wild salmon is a different flavor. It's more wild, it's more unpredictable. And often if the wild salmon would be caught in the river, it has the river flavor. So this organic salmon is caught, they swim around in the sea for about 2.5 years. For the moment, we get from Clare Island, which is a superb location. But all along the few, because again, it's a very small production of salmon compared to all the gigantic salmon producers like Norway. You couldn't even compare. What we're creating here is something very, very sustainable. It's sustainable for the people that live in the area, and it's also very well cared for. So the salmon that we get has organic certification. We don't certify with it. We certify with you guys, IOA. But the salmon producers, they certify because they have different markets for the salmon. So BioSwiss, Switzerland, AB, French organic certification, Naturland, German certification, which also works quite well in the US. It's kind of transferable. We did work with Naturland for a while, but we realized now we don't really need it because it's mainly private mail order we ship to the US. So that's fine. And there's agreement between US and Europe that we recognize each other's organic standards.
So just on a practical level, because people will be wondering, where does the salmon come in off the coast of Ireland, just on a practical level?
How do you mean, where does it come in?
As in kind of the physical process of where it's brought to shore, then how is it processed from there?
Okay, so it depends on where. I don't have all the details because I don't know from each and every farm, but I know Clare Island would come in, and I presume they go to the little harbour that is closest to Clare Island, and they're collected there. I mean, I don't do the processing. I buy it in.
You mean you tell me you're not out at the crack of dawn every morning in a boat catching fish and bringing it to shore? No.
But having said that, it then goes up to a processing area, which is up in Donegal in Fanad. Okay, so that's this kind of central location, and from there is then distributed. As far as I know, it goes up there, distributed by chilled truck to us. So it would be, they're harvesting. They couldn't harvest this week on Sunday. They couldn't harvest on Sunday because it was just too windy. So they managed to get a window on Monday, and I'll get it Monday sometime, and I'll get it Wednesday morning very early. Well, so it's really freshly brought to my door, basically, in a chilled transport.
The point that I'm making is it's all local. It's all supporting local jobs, the local economy, and it's all, like you were saying, fresh to your door, and that's a really important part of the process as well.
Absolutely, and I mean, you know, we're talking about also not only about 60% of all the fresh salmon that comes into us comes from ASC certified Aqua Stewardship Council certified sites. So we do get a certain amount from Donegal, Clare Island right now. Usually pre-Christmas it's Clare Island, which is superb, and sometimes Kerry. So that there's, you know, but there's not a whole heap. There's not that many sites. So we would get all the information on the fish coming in, where it comes from, and it's because we buy from the same source and the same company. It's consistently same. We would buy in superior grade. That means it has to be perfect. We superior grade, and then we go for a kind of for a 45 kilo fish that will end up in kind of 1.1, 1.2 kilo fresh fillet, which we then smoke, and it's kind of, we lose a bit of weight. It's about a kilo, 1.1 or 900 grams, something like that. So that's the kind of, we can dictate a little bit of the size. And I find that even, you know, that the perfect, you know, I like that 5 kilo fish. It's very nice. It just nice size.
Yeah. And I guess bringing it back to your consumer, as Irish people, even though we live on an island, we don't seem to be very good at eating fish. How did you find kind of your consumer market and encouraging Irish people to eat salmon?
I think that salmon is, you know, it has a sweetness. It's a when it comes to fish, it's one of the ones that have, apart from being a superfood, is really it tastes fantastic. It's easy to take in. It's not, you know, if you go to mackerel, some people love it, but it's a stronger flavor. If you go on the whitefish, probably cod is super safe, you know, you get it in the fish and chips, and but there's some, herring is a bit stronger flavor, but salmon, there's a sweetness about it. And that sweetness we bring out even more with the way we smoke it, oak shavings. And I've always had huge amount of fans. We've always had, when I go out and do tastings, people say, oh, we get such a great response to our product. And people that would come up when I do tastings, they say, well, I'm not really a fish person. I said, okay, well, why don't you try our hot smoked salmon? It's fully cooked. It is safe texture, because taste is about texture as well as taste, the sweet and whatever, but actually texture is very important to our experience when we taste. So I said, you have had a bad experience. Okay, try the hot smoke. Just, you don't have to, but just try that. And the texturing, it's fully cooked. It's not fish. There's no bones. And people say, well, actually, you know what? Yeah, I could do that. I could do that. And that can be a bit of a relief for people that, I should be eating fish, but I don't. Here's an opportunity. So, and then of course you have the people, the fish lovers, like, they might prefer the cold smoke because it has that, the moisture, the texture of fish. And some people would prefer that from hot smoked, and other people like both, so we have a kind of a range of what we offer.
You're really passionate when you talk about fish. You like nearly Nigella Lawson of fish. You're really passionate. But did you grow up in a family of fish lovers? Is that where this comes from?
Well, we were completely self-sufficient. I grew up on a farm. I was very, very lucky on the east coast of Sweden, and we have 4 daughters. My father inherited a farm from his father and his grandfather, and it was sea frontage, Baltic Sea, pasture, tillage, and a bit of forestry. So everything we ate came from either we had raw milk. I grew up on raw milk from our own milk parlor. Small, maybe 20 cows. It didn't, initially when I grew up, we had that, but then, with the farming situation, they just, after a while, we couldn't do milking cows anymore. I think it was probably the end of 70s, but we fished, and I fished with my father. I was the, last hope to be a boy, but I wasn't. And we all helped out. I think we would have done anyway. It wasn't like, oh, you're a girl and you're a boy, but it probably would have been slightly different. But anyway, so I was out fishing for eel, perch, pike, because that's what brackish water of the Baltic Sea is, about 10 per mil. So it's close to freshwater compared to the 33 per mil of the Atlantic. Anyway, the eel we fished, we would have in fight nets in kind of reed area, and it wouldn't been very deep. It's an inlet of the Burren, of the Baltic Sea. And that eel we got smoked in the local smokehouse. It was about 15 minutes drive to the local fishermen. They were our friends, and we had an eel fishing license. They had an eel fishing license, but they were professional fishermen, so they went out further and got herring and things like that. But we got our eel smoked there. And Sven Pettersson in Hummelvik, he smoked our eel, and we would have it for Christmas, we would have it for New Year's, we would have it for Easter, and of course, midsummers. So the smorgasbord, we had if the smoked eel wasn't there, we wouldn't be any Christmas at all. So the smoked eel, the smoked herring, whole herring, they're a bit smaller than the North Atlantic one. In the Baltic, it's just smaller, and if you have a bit of roe in there, it's like, hitting the jackpot. So yes, I grew up with that, both the fishing element of it, which I loved. I loved the skill of catching an eel, and the bottom of, when you empty the net to catch it, it's some skill, and getting the smoke to, and that smokehouse that little Hummelvik smokehouse that still smokes once a week on a Thursday at 12 o'clock. You come to Hummelvik and you would be able to buy a bit of whatever, flounder, smoke, whatever the catch was for the week, and bring it with you. Or you could go to the nearby towns, Nyköping and Oxelösund, and you could find it on the market. They would sell whatever they didn't sell at the smokehouse on the farmers market. And that was actually the whole business idea of that, of producing something in small batches at the very top quality, freshly caught from the area, and selling directly to consumers on the farmers market, or as we do in our visitor center. That was the business idea that we had from the very beginning of the Smokehouse, 1989. So we believe smoking is an art and a craft. This is an artisan produce. We have a real smoldering fire. We have our recipes. And it's great because there's a few more like us that have their own recipes. They would be different, totally different from ours. And that makes the beautiful breath of Irish smoked, Irish organic salmon, or Irish smoked wild salmon, or Irish smoked, well, it can't be anything else than Irish smoked Irish organic salmon, or Irish smoked wild Irish, or Irish smoked Irish wild salmon. That can't be anything else than that, because that's all that is in the market.
It's incredible, and it's an incredible product, and you've done an amazing job marketing it as well. It's a beautiful even package as well as the salmon itself, and it's a real credit to you. I'm wondering, in terms of where the market, where it goes, is your Irish market your biggest market, or you mentioned sending it abroad to places like the US? Are those markets increasing as well?
So it's about 50-50. We probably had more in France and Germany than we had in Ireland, but they for a while are in a private mail order. But actually, the COVID changed that, because our Irish community discovered our food gifting, and that so the food gifting that we offer, where you can order, ship it, and that's kind of, we started with this Burren hamper, Burren baskets, during COVID, and it just hit a chord. It wasn't only our smoked salmon, but we have our local St. Tulla goat cheese, the Burren Gold cheeses, all small production from the Burren.
Yeah.
The cattle and the goats would be grazing in the barn, and certainly the cattle would be grazing in the barn, and all that comes out in the incredible products that we have around us. And that we were in difficulty because of lack of food service and food tourism, and so were our neighbors. So we collaborated, and that just hit, it took off. We didn't realize it was going to be, but we have a series of 3 different sizes of Burren baskets, and they have been amazing. But other than that, we would ship to huge amount in Ireland, all over France, Germany, all over Europe, and particularly for Christmas, there would be some corporate gifts being sent to places. We would send USA, Canada. We are FDA approved, which you have to be in order to send there. And so you're talking about 24-hour delivery within Ireland, Europe, and also to New York. And the rest of US and Canada is 48-hour delivery. We do send to Hong Kong, Japan, and Singapore. Not so many, but some. And we actually do it for Christmas. Like, my own home country, Sweden. From time to time, it would be more kind of corporate gifts that somebody sends to Sweden, and then maybe some friends of mine would maybe or order some. There's not so much going to Sweden, but every time I kind of wave at the salmon. It's like, oh, off to Norway. Oh, actually, Norway is really sweet. It's like, off to Norway. Here comes some Irish organic salmon. I just can't help myself. It's so fun, Yeah. Anyway,
that's lovely, and it's lovely to have seen the business grow and really, really thrive. For you now, the next steps, what's that going to be?
Well, it's we've just invested, and we haven't really started to work it. We've just invested in a new website. We have new functionalities like subscriptions. So we're offering, we can do bespoke subscriptions. Somebody wants to send a mother that wants to make sure that there's their daughter or son that is studying in London or Edinburgh or within Ireland, and they're living on their own, and they want to make sure that they get in a shot of protein and good superfood for maybe once a month or every second month or something like that, or their elderly parents, whatever, or just kind of just a gift. It's a gift that keeps coming. So you can give a gift of something that comes every month, every second month, whatever. And we have kind of on the website now, we didn't have that functionality on our last website, but the functionality is there, that we have set up a few different options. But people can also contact us and say, listen, I particularly like this flavor and that flavor, and I'd love to send that on a 2 monthly basis. can you organize that? So that's quite a new area that we're starting to go into. Then we have our gift vouchers weren't really great, so that we have proper gift vouchers. We're working on our, enveloping our salmon, and I think that also we're going to broaden our scope of merchandise, like things that go well with the salmon, that other things that you can add on to the gift. So that's kind of, and then on food tourism side, what we're working on is our experiences that we have here. So last year, we started with something called Ultralux Experiences. For €250, 2 people can come, spend 2 hours, 1 hour with me in the Smokehouse, and then they go up to the roadside tavern, our gastropub. They spend another hour with Peter, who would show them the Burren brewery, that is also part of our portfolio, and then they can have lunch in the roadside tavern. And then if Peter, that could be a 2-hour experience, or, Peter just kind of sometimes have to say, well, actually, Peter, I think they need to go now, because he just, once he gets into storytelling, he loves to, we both love to share about us and what we've been doing, but also equally listen to what other people, we would have Americans coming in, and it's so interesting. Where are you from? What do you do? Do you smoke? Or what's your interest in food? Or, so we have a whole range of people that come to visit us, and it's a pleasure, to meet people. I love that. Personally, it's one of my favorite area. The engaging with people, networking. That's my sweet spot. I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
So growing the experiences, we have to look at growing in areas. We have to look at our profitability, because we have a big price increase in raw material coming in. The salmon is going up 12.5%, and so we have to look over that, and we'll have to make sure that we give value for money, but good value. And when value can be a lot of things, but we know we can stand over the product. We do have to make sure that we have we are giving ourselves enough so that we can sustain our team and pay them well and look after them. That's really important as well, and being able to grow as a company. So that's probably a challenge that I have. We're looking at it now and then January. But I think I feel very, very positive about the future, about our brand, and about the next, engagement. And it's very much. We also work with the Burren Ecotourism Network. Sustainability is just so close to our heart. We work collaboratively with other businesses in the area for food tourism, for tourism and ecotourism. And that is an area that I, feel as well opportunities. I live here in the Burren. The landscape is part of my home. We do go into the Burren and into that landscape, and we want to share that with other people in a sustainable way, that they can come to the area without actually impacting on the environment of the area. We will try to our level best to, ensure that what we offer is sustainable. We measure our waste, water, and energy, so that and try to make improvements. I'm going to actually looking at solar panels. Again, economical sustainability, but also, the concept of using that energy around us. So there's a lots of, but I feel very excited about 2023.
Yeah, and that comes across, and it's really, I think, heartwarming to hear, especially about a business that's grown, and that was kind of a seed of your imagination, perhaps, when you were a young girl as well, growing up. So it's really lovely to hear. Birgitta, thank you so much. And for anyone interested or thinking of finding Christmas gifts, the Burren Smokehouse website is stunning. I have it pulled up in front of me here. There's tons of selections there, so please do go onto it. It's www.burrensmokehouse.com. So Birgitta, thank you very much for that. And as mentioned, this is the last in our season of the Organic Matters podcast. If you've been tuning in or just tuned in, there's a catalogue there from the last year. Please do listen back. It was brought to you, of course, by the Irish Organic Association. And if you want more information on organics, go to www.irishodganicassociation.ie. But for me, I'm Hannah Quinn Mulligan, and you won't be hearing from me until after Christmas. So have a lovely Christmas break and a lovely New Year. Thank you very much.